Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Pointman podcast. My name is Zach. I'm joined today by Shane and Luke.
What's up?
On this rainy Sunday afternoon as we are wrapping up. We just finished up the barbaric faith semester. And today at the church, we had an incredible day of baptism. People going public with their faith and being bold with their faith, which is super cool to see. It's an incredible celebration of all that God is doing in the lives of the people here at that church. And so we're here. We're back. Podcast is no longer barbaric faith focused.
We said the thoughts of barbarians, but it's not the focus of it.
It's not the focus. There won't be an orange and black thumbnail any longer probably with this one. So we're just back being dudes, talking about things that dudes care about and that are going through.
I'm a dude. You're a dude. You remember that?
Was that a thing?
His Good Burger.
That's right. You passed the vibe test with that one.
But it wasn't dude.
Yeah.
I'm a dude. She's a dude. We're all dudes. We're all going to get copyrighted for this.
That's all right. They made a second one, so.
I think you can do it if you
if you sing it.
Yeah.
So what I want, the thing about baptism today, one of the things that really stuck out to me is when people are like, after they've come out of the water, and you can tell like even before they're going into, they're like, they know what they're doing. They know what is the significance of it, and they're like, I have asked God to come into my heart and forgive me my sins. And like that is what they're portraying to the world, and that's it gets me emotional when they're emotional. I don't know about like, I know the other times you see people get baptized, you're like, oh, that's awesome. They're like come out of the water, they're happy. But people who are like crying and like getting that feeling of emotion that like God is cleansing me, and I'm publicly showing that I have asked God into my heart, and you can tell for real that it's happening. You're like, dang.
You can almost see their
powerful.
You can almost see their testimony on their face.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't get super
powerful.
emotional about things inside the church very often. But baptism is a day that I normally do.
Yeah.
There's usually something about it that does, and I think it's. I've said this a few times, but I think it's because whenever I think about baptism, I think back. It's like going to a wedding when you go with your wife and you're like, oh, these people are getting married. Remember when we did that? Remember what that felt like? Remember who we were, what was going on? Yeah. And I think like whenever I see a baptism, I think back and it's like, that's that kind of like remembrance, even though I know it's a new life, it's death to life. It's an incredible thing for them. Yeah. But for me, it's like, I'll remember what that felt like. I connect with you now. And like you're baptized into this family of people who are all experienced this thing. And it's cool. I think one of the cool things today about baptism, I don't know how long we're going to talk about this, but was the number of men. We talked about it in the semester, but it's like the first really truly barbaric act you get to do as a man. The first like public profession, public ministry as a man is through baptism. And it's like that opportunity. If you have a family, you get to be an example for your family. If you don't, you still are an example to the community of people that are in the room and are seeing this change and this thing going on in your life, and you get to be out front with it. And it's it's like a free opportunity to be out front with it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And it's super cool. I think it's awesome when we have men. It's rare that we see the number of men. A lot of times they're like, I was saved, but I'm not doing that. I remember being a kid and like not wanting to go down front.
For sure. Yeah, it's a terrifying experience if you have never gotten up in front of anybody and then have that so boldly in front of all these people. It can be very, very intimidating, especially if you've never been in a church before and you've never seen it before.
Yeah, that's
and you just join a church and you're like, oh gosh, this is kind of scary and intimidating, but it's awesome that
I've shared out with y'all before. Almost this time last year, May 7th, me and my wife got baptized together. We were the first to go, and I was an utter wreck, absolutely emotional. I didn't know what to do walking up there. I think I threw my towel to you.
You did.
Like I'm jumping in a ring,
He's like, hold this peasant.
Yeah.
put my mic up.
And so I remember when I came out of the water, my father was front row and center, bawling his eyes out, and he was right there with me. And after everybody had got baptized, we're still conversing, still talking with each other at the end of everything. And my dad turns to your dad and says, "What is this place? Why is this feel this way?" And my dad felt like it was like almost like a revival-esque kind of movement that was going on because of it wasn't what his church would do. He comes from the Baptist denomination, and no knock on them and their ceremonies on that. It's one baptism a year type of deal. It's it's very slow to get that process, and it's just one person up there in the baptism pool, and it's very one-on-one with the preacher and the person being baptized.
Yeah, I think outside of like paedo baptism, if we want to discuss like the merits of that versus not doing it. Outside of that, I think any way that you do baptism is not necessarily incorrect. So, submersion,
right.
underwater, public profession of your faith. I went to church where we grew up, and the baptismal. I went to two. I vividly remember baptism. One being they had like this big fancy pond, literally in the middle of the lobby, and so there was a camera, and every time somebody got baptized, they just went in the pond, like it was inside. It was a crazy thing. It was really cool. But then I also went to like a Church of Christ church where it was like there's just a baptistry in the back, and the little old man who's the pastor, whenever it's time to baptize him, he goes and changes clothes and walks up into this little baptistry and does it that way too. I think it's a powerful moment anyway, but I think the way that we do it here in the celebration, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it does something. It's not just like this big event. It is, but it's truly a celebration. And I think the way that it's focused and the way that we look at it is really cool.
Could we probably, during editing, drop some in there?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might be able to grab some video, put it on there.
Yeah.
Check it out. Maybe we are watching it now.
Yeah.
Or not. I don't know. Maybe it'll pop up. Beep, beep. I don't know.
Put that in the post.
But in the post, yeah. But so I was talking with Ben this morning. He sat beside me in church, and he was like, "Man, I didn't get baptized like this. Like it's the same thing for me when I was a kid. I got baptized in a Southern Baptist church, and so it wasn't like that. That with the music and the clapping and everyone's pumped up and jazzed up, and I think that is a really cool way to do it. But I've been baptized twice when I was a kid, after I was saved, and then after I rededicated, me and JC got baptized together. And it was the kind of like, it wasn't at this church, it was at the church when I was stationed in Biloxi, but the church is kind of ran the same way we do it. And it was like, everybody was there pumped up, cheering for you and excited for you, like going public with your faith. That was really cool. So I've been a part of both, but I think both symbolize the exact same thing as then you're dead to your old life and born to your new life again.
Because I envision when I hear baptisms from the Bible, when I'm reading the Old Testament, and you've got these thousands waiting on the side of the river. Is it the Jordan? I can't remember. But anyways, they're down there. They're all the Sea of Galilee. They're getting ready to get baptized. Like there's thousands. Let's just say that. And when Jesus got baptized by John the Baptist, I'm sure there was there 10,000? I don't know. 5,000. They're all on top of each other.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh look, there's little Johnny up there on the getting baptized. No, it's bam.
Yeah,
right
but
there.
There was also life changing where the little Johnny getting baptized.
Little Johnny going to heaven.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, but
well, baptism has nothing to do with.
Well, he confessed it and then he's showing it publicly. So like, I look at my dad got baptized at 53 years old. He's now 60, and so I got that random phone call like, "Hey son, I need you to come to church." I was like, "Wrong number," So like witnessing my father being baptized at a later stage in his life, the significance was like even higher. And obviously I didn't like take that opportunity to like get to know the Lord then. Probably should have, but now is now.
Yeah.
And so like there wasn't a dry eye at my dad's baptism. It was still one-on-one, very ceremony like. And they put his testimony of his life up there, and he narrated it, and I learned some things about my father I didn't know, and the vulnerability about my dad. Didn't know that was possible. And then when he turns to your dad and was like, "What is this place?" It's like the Field of Dreams, Like, it's what it reminded me of, and everyone's there, everyone's supportive, everyone's cheering and clapping and all that. And this morning I went to the 8:30 one. And I didn't. My eyes weren't dry. I was weeping because also like Julius got baptized. Yeah. I was like, that's my guy. Yeah. There's all kinds of people in there that.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different too. Is whenever you like you said, your dad actually had his testimony up there. There's so many people in their lives of what they've been through, so many things that they've done. They're like, I want to change all these things that I've done, and I want to follow Jesus now. And I think that's so powerful. Is like if you could see every person that went up there and their testimony, I'm telling you, you'd probably be bawling your eyes out for sure. Because like you said, you knew Julius.
I've invested into this friendship with these people that are up there getting baptized, exactly. And
you know him personally, and so like even if you don't know these people, you know that they have a past. You know that they've had things that they probably regret doing, but they're changing their life, trying to turn it around to follow Jesus, and it's just so powerful.
Yeah, even Jimmy came out of the woodwork and ran up there to the pool and gave Julius a hug, and I was like, "This is real deal." Awesome. RD's running over toes and everything, and trying to get up there and see Julius. And I was like, "Yeah,
that's cool." Yeah, really cool that we get to be a small part of some of the men that got baptized today, and I was like, "Man, that's so awesome!" Because one day we're going to meet Jesus, and Jesus is going to say, "Hey, you remember that time you invested your time to help Pointman?" And these men were actually, their lives were changed of it, and their lives were changed of it, and because of them, their kids were changed of it. So I was just like, I'm so excited and proud to be in Pointman, and because of the men's lives that are changing because of that. I'm like, man, it hit me deep this morning.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I saw some of the men that actually got baptized because of a small part of Pointman.
Yeah, it is, and it's it's almost like a check in. It's like how are things going? It's like all
We're
these
doing-
guys getting baptized. Like, oh, okay, you're doing good.
Yeah,
Level up.
exactly,
Yeah. So what's next?
That's right. Yeah. What's next is a radical transformation.
yeah.
Transform your life from that point on, and you walk in the ways of Jesus. Lead your family. Lead your community. Be a part of your church. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a verse for that.
Let's.
All
Of course you
so
do.
let's go. This comes from Matthew, which I've been reading a ton lately. I don't know why Matthew kind of just speaks to me. Matthew was I guess, a really good writer, and very detailed, and I like the detailedness of that
bet
Matthew
you do.
put down. Matthew 21:26 says, "But among you it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. Whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many." So now that you've made that proclamation,
Yeah.
that you are now a follower, now it's time to do something about it.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, level up. Time next to go to the next thing
Yeah.
is to
'cause
serve.
Faith without good works is dead. my friend.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point to think about
That's
for a
good, Luke.
second. That it's it's new. You were washed clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've been saved. You have
Yep.
death to life. You have a radical transformation, a new thing today.
Yep.
So live like a new thing.
Yeah.
Like don't leave and then go back to where you came from.
Yeah,
you know?
heathen.
Leave as new. Whatever was holding you down, whatever's holding you back, just let it go
Yeah.
and move forward.
I'll give you my experience. So when I went underwater, I told myself I'm gonna keep my eyes open.
Really?
Yeah. Being a rescue swimmer, water didn't bother me. I didn't hold my nose, nothing like that for my baptism. I'm taking it like a man, And the way Scott,
Drowning over there.
yeah, the way Scott said it, yeah, the way Scott said it today was it's
funny.
it's 2/3 death. You die, you're reborn. You're covered. By the death of Jesus. While under, you're reborn when you come back up. You ever been hit in the face and you kind of like had that ring in your ear? When I went under, I felt that ring in my ear. I don't know if it was a pressure change because of the water or if it was something biblical or spiritual. But when I come up, uncontrollable shaking and crying, mainly because the first person I see is my father crying. And I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. And then right after me was my wife. And then talking about leading your family and doing something different.
For sure.
My wife's right there with me, and she's being baptized. And now my daughter's talking about it, and we're working through that. And just the people see this radical transformation in your life, and they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And start asking you questions.
Yeah, so I think I'm on the same lines with you as where I made that decision where I'm going to follow God no matter what. And then someone was like, hey, you want to be baptized? And I got the opportunity to do it with JC.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm already going to do this anyway. This is a step where I can make my identity in that as well and publicly declare it for everyone.
Yeah.
I know I'm already going to do this, and this is my declaration. This is me changing my inside, saying, hey, I'm going to do this regardless. Here's a good way, a jumping off point. It's a really good starting off point.
Yeah.
I think is a good spot for baptism where people say, I'm no longer the way I was. Now I'm this way. I was going to make this decision either way if I got baptized or not.
Yeah.
But this is a public, hey, I am different now.
Yeah, and I think that was on our last point of week 4 was talking about one of the weeks before was like a radical transformation. It's just, it's a complete about face, 180 of your life. You're leading worldly. You go ahead and cut it off. You're living for Jesus. Now it's the other way. Now the other direction. It points towards His glory, and all that you do glorifies Him. Everything you do.
When we say about face, you know what that means?
Turn around.
Yeah.
That's a military.
I'm not
term.
that stupid.
I didn't know if it was like inside baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I've seen movies.
Okay.
well, standing at attention, all those names.
Yeah.
I still do that when I'm like randomly in a rental house. I'll like, go down a hallway and I'll do a complete right hand turn and I'll do the heel toe and get it going.
I think ours was a little bit different, but
Yeah.
very similar.
No, but back on serious, it's like the radical transformation that, and I don't know who said it recently, but but it was. You last podcast you said that when you made this decision to go for God and to lead and be a pastor and all that, everyone's like, yeah, okay, we knew that, we knew that already. It was different for me. They were like, what? his dude's smoking that peyote.
Shocked people.
Absolutely. You know, because they knew me as one person. Now I'm not anymore. It's old. You can't get me to come back over there. It's not happening. I was talking to a friend this morning about the radical transformation, and like explaining to him like it's real. And I was like, I cannot in my mind remember the old me. I can't remember doing these things. I can try to force myself to it. Like I was at this place at this time with these people, but the actions that I took, I can't remember those.
I think it's God probably uses both types of people. It's like, oh yeah, you're supposed to do this, because he has to have some people who people are like, let's go. Like they'll get on the ship with you.
Yeah.
But he also has to have people that shake up a generation, that shake up the people around and the atmosphere around them. And so you have to kind of have both, because if you only have the people that are shaking things up, then you're just constantly causing turmoil. There's not something to go to. You know what I mean? There's not like a steadiness that you can get on board with, if that makes sense. That doesn't mean that that person doesn't shake things up in their own right, but someone's got to steer the ship, like for all the people to jump on. And so he uses people where they're at and uses their skills. And it's probably the difference in like the people who are very action focused. Like if you're action focused in a worldly sense or a secular sense or whatever, then you're probably the person someone's like, hey, let's go do this. And you're like, yeah. And like, let's get on And so you just go. Yeah. And that person, whenever it's like, let's go to Jesus. And they're like, what? Like, but the person who's kind of like orchestrating the group the whole time, they're like, oh, you're going to orchestrate this group instead? And it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I just think there's a difference in like,
I caught a lot of heat for it. I caught a lot of heat for this transformation. And because it was, we were steamrolling it in the world, you know, we were nothing stopping us. And then I completely severed it off. Like I'm going, this is the way I'm living my life from here on out. You're not going to stop me. Nothing's ever going to get in my way. And that right there was heartbreaking. Did the sound change to y'all, or the air that just?
The air went off.
Boy, it was weird. Yeah, but no, it was strange to people. You know.
Yeah, I think the same way with in Paul in the New Testament as well, is where he was
That's a good
going
example.
One way.
I got Luke right here. I like
it. he got to meet Jesus face to face. And, well, not face to face, but he met him on the road to Damascus, was blinded by Jesus. And so that's what he was like, I'm going to flip my life 100%. And everybody was like, whoa, weren't you just killing?
Yeah.
But Saul saw Stephen too. He saw the stoning of Stephen.
He did.
He commissioned it.
He was one of the ones that was there, trying to do it.
And so he got to see this person who, even as he's dying, is looking to God and being like, glory to God, you know? And then he goes on the road to Damascus. He has the blinding light experience. And then he sees the grace again as he comes to get him and to wipe his eyes clean. So, yeah, I think that's a
fair assessment there, Luke.
Yeah, Saul, he completely got his life changed because he met Jesus, and I think that's the same way, like you were talking about, was when you come face to face with Jesus, you have two opportunities. You can either change your life, or you can keep going down the same road, and people are like, well, we figured, you know, he's not going to change. Or you change your life, and like, whoa, wasn't this guy just doing all these things he should have been doing? Wasn't he just killing Christians? Wasn't he just, out at the bar on Friday night where you shouldn't be doing that? And you're like, well, okay, now he's different. Something's going on. Yeah. And Paul radically changed everything because of his life, because of one interaction with Jesus. So how many interactions have we had? How many interactions have you had where you didn't change? Something like Jesus is speaking to you in your heart, and you need to listen to that, because if you don't, your heart is going to get hardened, and you're not going to follow Jesus the way you need to follow Jesus.
Yeah, I can remember vividly back in January last year, before I surrendered everything over. I was at the music hall, and we went and saw Cadillac Black. I can't remember, maybe them. And absolutely, next 3 days, the hangover was absolutely atrocious. Like I got COVID, you know. I don't have a hangover. It's so hard on me. I got COVID, you know.
It's called being 35.
Yeah, it was it was a nightmare. And that wasn't like, I just remembered a couple days later, I walked into Pointman, you know, and I had already been going like for that semester.
Come on.
Yeah. Show up the Pointman.
Bring it.
You know, bad breath and all. And just completely like, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I've been missing. This is, I'm answering the door to Jesus finally. And
sure.
Literally didn't drink alcohol from that point on. Quit cussing. You know, I did bring back that's what she said, you know, joke. I went a while without saying that. And, you know, my wife made me like, she may have missed some of those She's like, you're different, you know. And I was
I brought back the she's. That's what she said.
what she
Joe.
said.
yeah, I mean, because I went completely like none, you know. I went
That's so
like
funny.
priest on her.
Sure.
You know, like we're only watching, VeggieTales in this house, no more of The Office or whatever, you know. And she was like, it's not upsetting me if you say those things, you know. You're not degrading me. You're not, being sexist or anything. She's like, those jokes are okay. The dad jokes, the borderline jokes. She's like, I don't care about those. They're not hurting me. They're not, detrimental. She's like, the cussing, I really like that, because being a Navy guy, those are secondhand the oxygen with us.
Cussing like a sailor.
That's right, man.
That's
My daughter's name is Sailor, so hopefully she didn't have,
I think I was listening to my son. He gave a message the students
awesome.
last
be proud of that, man.
earlier this spring, and so I was listening to him practice, and he had this point. He was talking about the cutting off the vine, the branches, and he was like,
it's the Book of John, right?
if you don't have the vine, if you're not connected to Jesus, you won't be successful. And I was like, you're wrong. He's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you can be ultra successful without Jesus.
Yeah.
You can be very happy
In the world's eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel happy without Jesus.
Yeah.
Don't get this wrong. You're still wrong.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody who comes to faith has to have this tragic story about their transformation in Christ. It's just that. It is Jesus lived, died, was resurrected for your sins. Believe that and move on. It's a different life. You're a new thing. It's a different existence. It doesn't mean your other one wasn't good.
Yeah.
Some of the best people don't know Jesus. And the sad part is that it's a prerequisite to eternal life.
Yeah.
And that's going to upset some people, but it's just true. Like, it's not good enough to live a moral life.
Yeah. My wife had to help me cope with that. She's like, you're a good husband. You were an amazing husband. You were an amazing friend to all your friends. Because I had no problems with any of that stuff. And then I led my life and started leading my life for Christ. And so there's another level to being a husband for her now. There's another level of decision makings within the house. There's the bad times they're not that bad anymore. Because the strength that we get within the family doesn't come from us.
Yeah.
It comes from the Lord. And so there's a different type of there's a one pure joy within the home, and it's here to stay. And I mean, I'm more attracted to my wife than ever, and vice versa. And it's a different, it's a whole different love that we have.
To be fair, it's not that's not something that happens when you get saved. You're not like, oh, man, my wife looks good.
Yeah.
Like,
well, no, it's just within the church. I'm like, I didn't know I could look at her that way and see her in that environment.
No.
Now that I see her in that environment, she's talking to my daughter, reading my daughter the Bible, or praying with my daughter. I'm like, oh man, hold me back.
Your attraction is on a different level. It's more of a
internal,
spiritual anchor in our family, and that's what I'm more attracted to someone that is more biblically bound than someone who's worldly bound. But I did want to talk about what you're talking about, the successful. He was talking about people can't be successful without Jesus. The thing I want to talk about
twice sits in the middle.
That's right. We love you, Luke.
Well, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. But
Val face.
One of the things that I wanted to say was, he said you can't be successful in the world, and I would say yes, you can't be spiritually successful without Jesus. You can be worldly successful.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you examine two different people, like you were talking about Stephen in the Bible, people would say he wasn't a successful person. But
we look at him
the type of something that I'm like, this guy was a success. He preached boldly and he died for his faith. That guy was more successful than more than half the people in the world today. Is he is success. And you look at somebody maybe like Bezos or something, and you're like, this guy is successful. He gets it. He's rich. He makes all this money. I'm like, that is not success for me at all. So yes, you can be worldly successful, but someone who's rooted in God and willing to die for God and have that barbaric faith, keep going back to it, but
that's fine.
That somebody is that is a
all
successful
the apostles
person.
were.
And you can't be without.
Amen. Amen.
Both things are success. So it's not to say that they're not. It's just that the eternal value versus the short-term gain is the difference.
Yeah.
And so for us, we have success in an eternal state for our relationship with Jesus, which is a profound thing. I'm not discounting that. But to say Bezos isn't as successful is also just not correct, because he is ultra successful in his space. You know,
Yeah.
if his space was Christianity, he would be a failure if he did not
Yeah.
commit his life to living in
100%,
faith,
yeah.
and he would and give his life to Christ like that. You see what I'm saying? So it's a different realm, if you will, of success. It's just you can put the worldly value. Here's the thing: I hate separating the two. Like,
Yeah.
God created all things, and so
Which one glorifies him?
Yeah. So like, I think that's some terminology maybe we should get rid of, because it does put a dividing line between those who believe and those who do not believe.
Because we need to reach those that not believe.
Exactly.
We're working through this. We're working.
I
through
do
this.
not pray that you take them out of the world,
No.
but that you protect them from the evil one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's in the Bible.
Don't segregate away from the world. The believers are so bad about, let's get inside of the four walls of the church. Let's stay here. It's safe.
Safe. Yeah.
We can like, there's even denominations of church who lock the doors for fear of persecution from the outside coming in for the way that they worship. And if that's a fear you have, then you're doing this thing wrong a little bit. And this might piss some people off, but let's go.
Let her rip, tater chip.
But like, you can't reach the people who are lost if you're playing Clubhouse
Oh boy.
inside of the church.
All right, Pastor Zach.
And when we start to divide the terminology between success, worldly success, and faith, like, we're segregating things again. Like, success is success. Are you going to heaven or not?
Right.
And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I want to go to heaven.
That was a little bit of a tangent, but
No, it's fine. You're preaching. I liked it. Let her roll.
too many monsters this morning.
That's perfectly good. No, if you want to look like, well, somebody like another name that's high up there, money wise, is like bad. Like, there was an artist named Bad Bunny here recently. He went from like to being this ultra successful like secular music guy, and then like radical change that I'm only going to be producing Christian music from here on out. And he got attacked. Like, there's a tag for it.
I'm
It's
tired of
just-
getting bit in the butt by those people. So
Yeah.
prove it to me.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know. Is this true? Like, what are you going to
100%.
do? That's probably how. I mean, when I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll give my life to Christ," everyone was like, "Yeah, I don't know about that." He's just saying that to show face.
And this goes back to my argument against, let's quit naming things Christian and not like, just do the best thing. Just be the best artist you can possibly be. Go to church, expand your faith, pronounce Jesus as Lord.
Yeah,
Baptism, do those things. Be a believer, but make the best music you can make.
yeah,
Like, don't say, "Oh, I'm a Christian now. I only make Christian music." Like, you just missed the point.
Well, does he? If he goes out there and makes the secular music, but he's also rooted in his faith, does he have to like tone certain lyrics down?
You if you're made
Should. I feel like you
if
should.
you're made new, you can't go out there and
Right.
go booty shaking like that. You can't do that.
I'm pretty Pablo taking my shirt off.
But you can go out there and you can make the best Bad Bunny reggae music. I'm not exactly sure what he
Me
makes.
either.
He makes some cool sneakers. That's all I know.
Spanish style.
yeah.
Latino.
Go do that.
Yeah.
Just go make the best version of that.
I like the booty shaking. It's great.
Booty
Of course you do,
shaking,
Luke.
booty
Of
shaking,
course you do, Luke. You go. I like Matthew because he's very articulate and good with. I like the booty shaking.
You'd think I would like Luke, but I think it's okay.
But I think that not that there's not a good
too, man. So.
not that there's not a good space for Christian artists. Like, I think worship music, you can't be a secular worship artist. Like, that is a church centric type of music, and so like, you're gonna do that.
Yep.
But like, if you're a rapper, like, go rap.
Yeah.
Like, go be the best of that thing. Make the best music that you can. Glorify God in it. What do you got to say?
What do you got to say about what Zach's rant was about?
Well, you can say it if you want.
No, go ahead.
And then I was gonna say something after.
What I just said?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying that I just don't like when Christian artists, or when people say that they are Christian so that they can pander to a Christian community who's
Right.
going to support them.
That's cash cow, man.
You see like Christian artists, and I've heard like Ruslan, I think, talked about this, about the economy of Christian music, where it's like you can just get booked on all these tours because you're a Christian artist. Now there's great ones. I'm not
'cause-
disparaging,
Yeah.
but like I really
You've been vetted, so you're good.
Yeah, but Ruslan's only like, I don't know. I don't really trust Ruslan either because of like he's on the podcast or does his YouTube because of that same thing that he's talking about just there. He's getting his views because he's like, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
No, I yeah, no doubt. And that's one of the things that makes this podcast a little different is we are unashamedly, this is part of a ministry.
Yes.
Like, this is
Right.
this isn't a separate thing where we're trying to build a following.
Right, yeah.
This is an auxiliary to a ministry that meets
Dang, let them cook.
and comes together. But Erwin McManus, who wrote Barbarian Way, he wrote a book called Mind Shift, and I heard him talking about it on a podcast one time. He was like, I asked them not to put it as a Christian book. He said, because if he goes to the Christian book section, only Christians are going to pick it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
You limit your audience.
He said, this is a social psychology book. Put it with the psychology books. Put it with the business books, like the self-help. Put it in that section.
It's pretty bold.
And the book is not about Jesus necessarily, but the foreword says, I dedicate this book to Jesus Christ. My Lord. I don't know exactly how he words it, but it's it's a great book. But
what I wanted to say is like, I think along the same lines as what you were talking about is like, use your skills, not only just and for the Christian community, use your skills as a Christian is what you're saying.
that is my whole point.
Yes,
Like,
right.
do the best thing that you do and
Yep.
be a Christian.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah,
think
got
we
it.
look to artists because artists
good.
are on stage, and so we can see them and we can kind of put them in a box of what they do.
I'm the best father because I'm a Christian. I'm the
Yeah.
best husband
Right.
because I'm a Christian.
If you're an accountant, like go be the best accountant you can possibly be, and be a Christian who lives by the tenets of their faith.
Yeah.
And so
Because your example will flow out of you.
but you're honest about the way that you handle people's money. You're honest about the way you submit returns and those types of things. I'm not an accountant. In fact, it's my least favorite aspect of what I do for a living.
Shout out to all CPAs.
Yeah, but be that and
What's up, Mom?
a Christian. But don't and make a mesh. But you don't have to walk out on the street corner and be like, I'm a Christian accountant.
Yeah.
So only Christians come to me.
You can only do
Like,
that. Yeah, I see.
That's
you're saying.
what where I
sounds good.
cracks me up.
The Mark Phillips quote is, you're probably the only Bible that someone ever will read. That
I
whole,
still attribute that to Luke, but
That's who knows who actually.
it came through the Phillips DNA.
The chicken or the egg,
That's right.
But what I was gonna say is like off that same topic is like you said that you're in marketing, right? And you said I don't remember when you said it. Maybe you were preaching or you said it on the podcast, but you were like, I could trick you to come and hang out
just on the
with us.
podcast.
Just on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious because you're like, I can trick you to come hang out with us,
Yeah.
but I don't want to do that. I want to invite you to come out because I genuinely want you there.
The choice being theirs.
I thought that was funny because like that's what you do in your secular world. You trick people, using psychology to make
You
people sell things or buy something or to do something, a service for them.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. And it's like you're kind of separate yourself from that, but also you're also using it because that's your skill set that you have. But you don't want to do that because you think it's morally wrong or
Well, I use trick as
ability
like
wrong.
trick is it's an aggressive way of putting it. What I'm
using
more,
their psychology to
what
make
I'm
them
more
come out.
saying is like so the type of marketing that I do is I sell a certain thing to a group of people to get them to essentially invest in it. So that's what I do. And so for me, I spend all day selling the value and like the control of a thing.
That's good.
To someone. And so for me, it's not that I trick you to come, but it's like I did say that, but it's more like when I say
No,
that,
it makes sense to the public though.
yeah. But when I say that, it's like I could give you all of the reasons why you should come. I could continue to find ways to make this sound appealing to you so that you will come. But in the reality, the value and the appeal is the fact that Jesus is here.
Yep.
So a couple days ago, I was training a lady I work with. I'll be on vacation in June, and so like I'm training her to take over while I'm gone. And her dad just passed away last week, and that's the first time I got to see her like face to face. And so like I took it as an opportunity to just grieve with her, just to help, minister in a way, because she's got questions. I've mentioned her in the past about like she asked me like, how do you read the Bible, and she comes out and says something completely took me by surprise because this stuff happens here a lot recently. Is she's like, I see Jesus in you. And I was like, it better not be the long hair, But she's like, no, you're just genuine. She goes, you listen real well, which is a weird characteristic that people are telling me nowadays.
They haven't said that to you before?
No, I'm a talker. I was always that kid. I was always that kid that got put in the back of the class and was still yippity yap. Or you put me next to the teacher's desk, I'm gonna be nosy with what she's doing. But anyways, she said that she sees Jesus in me, and that broke me. I was like, okay, man, wasn't ready for that one.
No, that's awesome.
And so like that's. I'm in an environment of work, and I'm still expressing myself in a way of how Jesus would carry himself.
But you're doing your job
absolutely.
to the best of your ability, just because it's your job.
Yeah.
That's like there's like a thing we were talking, or I wasn't talking about this morning. I was just thinking about it. I rarely ever say pastor with my name. Like I pretty much always say Zach. And if I have to give you why I'm calling you or something, I would say I am the Pointman pastor. Like
Right.
I'm not. I rarely ever am like Pastor Zach. Like that just weirds me out a little bit, and I think it weirds me out a little bit because
So, come a little bit humble there. I like it.
But I think it's because my
how I
goal isn't to be in front of you. Like my goal is that you come to know Jesus, and so as a
Your need is not to be called pastor. Your need
what
is
is
to show them.
consequence? I don't know why I can't think today.
Yep.
A consequence of that is the fact that I am in front of you a lot of times, but that's not our relationship is on an equal playing field of
Perspective. I like it.
we need to go and to spread the gospel and reach more people. So I need you to come with me. Like I don't need to be above you.
Yeah.
I just have the opportunity to help in this aspect.
Because you don't want to be untouchable. You know, you don't want to be that way.
No.
You want to be unapproachable. Sorry, you don't want to be unapproachable.
Not for that reason, at least.
Right. So yeah, you want them to be able to.
My pickleball prowess, though, come get some.
Brother.
you know,
the internet thing. What is that?
I think I have a good story about like what you're talking about. It's like this last couple of weeks, I had to sit down with a couple of people that I work with, and was like, I generally don't care if I'm like quote unquote your boss. Like I don't care. Like, oh, this guy has a certain status or whatever. Like I do not care about that. I genuinely want to take care of you and genuinely want to be a good supervisor to you. That's really all I care about. I want to know like if you're doing all right when you come in that day. I want to know like the issues you're facing, the struggles you're having. Yes, technically I am put in charge in the spot where I am, but I genuinely care about you. And I think that's kind of the same thing you're saying is like, yes, you have the authority as the pastor, but you don't really care about the status of being a pastor. Like, and Jesus even says like, don't call people rabbi, don't call people father, because that you have one father, you have one rabbi, and that's Jesus Christ and God himself. That's your rabbi, that's your teacher. So titles don't really matter. It's how you actually carry yourself and what you actually do that matters, and how you feel in your heart about.
We have like
That's
a
good.
deal at our office. So like every time someone gets a promotion, everybody gets this big announcement, and they tell them.
Pizza party on Friday.
And I have I made it like a rule for me. Like when I first started, I was like, do not send that email. Like are you going to pay me more?
Yeah.
Am I going to? What
We talked about this.
does my role change because of this news? Like what changes? Oh, it just affects me. Okay, then let's just let it be me.
Yeah.
Like let me move on and just tell me what additional work I'm doing now. And because, and I think that's the same deal. Whenever you said authority, it made me think of this. And there is authority given to the role of a pastor, but I think that the way I like to think about it more is there's a responsibility.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's not so much that there's an authority that I've stepped into as much as there's a responsibility I've stepped into, and that comes with a weight. And that weight is
you're now
heavy.
you're now a shepherd. You know, you got a flock, as they say in the Bible. You know, and you're there to cultivate that. You're not there to squash it. You're not there to like rule over them with an iron fist, be a tyrant. You're there to, mold and grow their spiritual.
Just like labeling an artist Christian.
Here we go. Guys.
I'm
kidding.
tied here.
He's tying it.
Yeah, tying it in tight.
Oh, he's pastoring us.
But no, there's just like we like to label that as a thing. You like to take a title and a label as a thing. I remember whenever I became a weightlifting coach, and I got my first certification, I got to say I was a USA weightlifting certified coach.
Okay.
And so there became credibility to the name. And then whenever I got my second one and I was able to like coach at competition, it was like, oh, there's only a few of you now.
Yeah.
It's like it elevated the level of competency that went with it. And I think we, as Westerners, like labels. We live in the pyramid and the promotion society where we do that. I mean, our military is based on promotions and what you can do. Our corporate structures are based on promotions and hierarchy.
Yeah, my wife being a pharmacist, she's allowed to have initials after her last name. Maybe like PharmD or there's another like her name. She can legally have that on her mailing address. Like it could be doctor,
And when you talk
I'm like, babe, why don't you have that? I want people like that's a
Put
status.
some respect on mine.
Yeah, that's right.
because it would be Dr. and Mr. Graham.
That's right. Oh man, you know how
It would flip.
how beta that sounds. And so like, I'm very proud of my wife.
I'm a little punk, but I love my wife.
That's right. Yeah, I'll hold that purse. I asked her like, why don't you have that on there? And she's like, I just don't want that there. Plus, people are going to steal my mail if they see doctor on it. And so like, she doesn't care about titles at all. But when she was graduating, and they did not start calling names out, Dr. So-and-so, I mean, that was an absolute riot at that place. They were mad. They're like, well, put one, it's like $100-something thousand to go to school.
Yeah.
You know, like you better, you know, put the right title on it.
But that's like it's
funny.
Yeah, that's a weird. You know, when we're talking about like secular success, that's like a mark of secular success. Although we're getting rid of that word once we figure out how to get rid of it.
When I became detective, I was like, I'm Detective Graham.
Exactly.
I told everybody that. You know, like I'm not Shane.
But that's what everybody does. And I think the problem is when it infiltrates into like your ministry. It's like you want people to see you as an elevated status of pastor instead of just someone who's doing the work of God.
This morning when I introduced a friend of mine to Pastor Eddie Brand, I said, hey, this is Pastor Eddie Brand. He goes, hey, I'm Eddie.
I think that's a different thing though. I think that's a respect thing.
But Eddie didn't go, hey, I'm Pastor Eddie. He goes, hey, I'm Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was
that's
like,
true.
That's dope.
Yeah, I've never. You guys probably don't know what rank I am in the Air Force.
You're probably sergeant.
I love you, Luke. I don't care.
Yeah, I was
Are
like,
you
I
Air
know,
Force?
it's like, I've never said I do not. I literally do not care.
Yeah.
Are you Air Force?
Yeah,
How many years in?
I've been in 11 years. I really don't
Are
care.
you tech sergeant?
I am, but I wouldn't say. I'm like, you guys don't know that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like I do not care about what rank I am.
But
or
now that
whatever.
I'm a Tech Sergeant Phillips over here.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't matter. It's like it doesn't. I have my identity is nowhere near. Like some people get wrapped up in their job being their identity, and
It's
that
not like tattooed on your calf or
no,
something.
I have 0 tattoos of the Air Force, and I will never get one. And I think I don't know. Maybe that's just like something that's because if you go back to like World War II and look at people at like their tombstones, it'll say like their rank, and because that's what they wanted on their tombstone. I'm not saying that was wrong
Still
because
saying
they
that
were
anyways.
extremely patriotic men who died for their country.
Yeah.
But that's not something that I put my identity into. I do not care. It's a job for me.
Yeah.
I do believe that it's good to serve your country. I think that's an awesome thing. But my identity is not into that. My identity is in Christ, and I do not want that on my tombstone. I do not want it on my body. I do not want after I get out of the Air Force, like that was a job that I had, and that now I'm not in there anymore.
Are you a Christian nationalist?
I don't know. I have a relationship with Jesus Christ. I'm 0 labeled, no labels, no identity. My identity is me and my relationship with Jesus Christ. I don't care about any of that other stuff that goes along with it because in the end it doesn't matter, and it's not going to matter.
I think that's one of the cool things about non-denominational church too. It's like because if I say we are Baptists, like it's like a political affiliation. I can start running down all the things you do and don't like, or like you are Methodist. I can do the same thing, or Pentecostal, or Apostolic, or whatever. We can just start going down and
Policies and procedures.
yeah, here's all the things you can do and can't do, and here's why, and here's what you believe, and here's where you think, and here's your favorite person, and who you listen to, and who your teachers
We're about
are.
to ruffle feathers with this one.
But whenever you get into like a non-denominational, and there are negatives because you don't have any of that.
Yeah.
You are kind of established.
But we are rooted in the Bible here, though.
Yeah, amen.
We are rooted, in a more of a Baptist theology, if you want to be
It's a sprinkle. It's the South.
technical about it,
It's the
but
South.
it's different. But whenever you get into that, like we're not in a denomination, so if there's something that we read the Bible, we see is wrong, and we see it's. Or not that the Bible's wrong. If we read the Bible and we see something that needs to be different, we
In our
just go
lives.
with the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Right.
like we don't listen to a liturgical society of people who have sat around and made a second law.
I don't think you can. I don't know. You can't
Go for
follow
it.
Jesus and say that you're a religious person because if you read the New Testament and the Gospels,
What did Jesus say?
talked mad trash to this Pharisees and the religious laws.
And the religious people killed him.
Yeah, exactly. Like he did not like religion, and if you read the Bible and you think that Jesus liked religion, then you're not reading the same Bible. We're reading different
like
Bibles.
the word Christianity wasn't it like or being a Christian wasn't it like almost like a slang term back in the day?
I don't think it was.
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't a term.
It's
at
called
all.
the
No one
way.
used-
The way. Okay,
yeah,
that's
no.
what I was trying to figure it out. But like, yeah, 'cause I didn't have a debate with somebody, but they asked me like, "Are you Christian?" I was like, "I don't know. I follow Christ." And they're like, "What kind of answer is that?" And I was like, "That's my answer. I don't know because
I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I'm a Christian.
no, I don't
think
see anything. I'll label myself as a Christian.
Yeah, I mean,
I do too.
you need if you to say I'm a follower of Christ is just to say I am a Christian.
Yeah.
you just I think the problem is like I'm a Baptist.
Oh,
Like,
that was
now
was,
you're in a different
that was
conversation.
Part of the conversation. He goes, "Oh, since you're a Christian, do you follow part of the Torah?" And I was like, "I follow the whole Bible."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, that doesn't answer it." And I said, "That's the whole Bible."
Yeah.
So yeah, I follow.
It's in
everything.
there.
Yeah.
Because we
part
got
of
we got on the conversation about tithing versus what New Testament. And I was like, well, he fulfilled the law. He didn't, abolish it. And we went on this topic after topic after topic. You know,
I mean, if you wanted to get like into the New Testament, talking about things like
Offering.
tithing, there's like alms and acts, which is giving to the poor. I mean,
Lots.
Well,
yeah.
Jesus also says like you neglect the things that are important, but you tithe the 10% of your herb garden, but you should do the most important things as well, not only the things that the law
Not
tells
monetary.
you to do, but so tithing is in the New Testament if you look it up.
It's also like
talked
in
about twice.
Paul's letters, he talks
Yeah.
about the value of providing for the leaders of the faith
Right.
and things like that.
It was a
So,
lunch conversation with a friend of mine, and he's also a Christian as well.
Yeah.
And we were just going through like what we know, and, like how do you feel about this? And this was pretty cool. Like I could be talking about, you know, what's going on in the world, or, you know, but we're actually talking about this, or being a former giant sports fan or archery guy. I could be talking about these temporary subjects, you know, but we're over here talking about, you know, eternal life subjects.
Tithing cracks me up every time.
Why is it such a hot button topic? with
Every
people?
time somebody wants to debate faith with me,
Yeah.
it's like, you give all your money to the church. I was like, don't give any. Just come.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like if tithing,
We're not asking you. It's not required. You don't like check your
No.
401k when you walk in.
Yeah, what does it say? It's an offering,
As I
right?
said, the same thing is like if tithing is what keeping you from going to church, we do not want your money. Like they do not care about
looky
your money.
Luke,
Like,
I
just
like
come
it.
to church
Yeah.
and save it, keep your money. But
Yeah.
God don't need your money.
want your
exactly,
soul.
He does not 100%.
I'm just gonna say
It's just it's like always
we want your soul.
it's always on the
good word.
list
Drinking a
of
Monster over
like
here.
where they go down and they're like all the things they don't
Yeah.
like about the church. It's always like number 2 or 1. Like,
Dude, that's the enemy getting in their head though.
it's so funny.
Sure.
It's just
gotta be.
it's the selfish things. It's the selfish nature of certain things that come out.
That's what's preventing you from having a life-changing opportunity. Is your
$100.
yeah. Some people not even that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, they're asking for money.
Sure.
Dude, so is everybody else. Like, every time you buy something at a store, it's going to ask you a few questions. You know, turn around, here's your tip. You know, there's that going on.
Oh, I heard somebody talking about it was a self checkout at an airport that
a tip?
requested a tip.
Oh my God.
I was like, man, it's hard for me to tip sometimes.
I had
at the coffee shop when
I
the
hate
woman
that,
made
dude.
the
I
coffee.
hate that so much.
I had a friend's little brother that was going through law school here recently, so he thought he knew everything, you know. And he sent a W9 or whatever to like Walmart, and was asking them to like pay him because he's been checking his own groceries out for like a year.
That's funny.
And he like they sent him a cease and desist letter. And I was like, man, you're trolling Walmart for making you.
Oh, so you're saying I'm checking myself out, so you owe me money?
So you
because
owe
I'm
me.
having to check myself out.
You got to pay me for me working for you.
I don't think that's going to work out well for you.
No, it didn't. It was a cease and desist letter he got,
funny.
and I thought it was hilarious. I was like, if I went to law school, I'm probably going to think I'm a little bit prideful and send that off too.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. And
Yeah.
well, I think that's enough for today, boys.
Yeah, it's been good.
What y'all think? Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been the Pointman podcast. We're back to our old selves.
Well, we got pillars coming up.
Topics, yeah, sort of.
Topics, rambling,
Baptism.
fun conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got
Some
pillars
inter-
coming up
yeah.
starting next Wednesday. It'll already probably pass once this comes out.
Mhm.
But Bago tournament coming up July 19th and 20th. Cash money on the line. So make sure you get signed up today.
Better start practicing because it's coming.
There's at least $1,000 on the line. At least. So as the
Yeah.
teams grow,
Is it 60 dude?
You better tide that money when you win it too.
I love it, Luke.
All right.
I'm just going to hand you the money and you do with it what you wish.
We got non-believers in there, but we got believers in there.
All kinds of people at Bago. All kinds of people at that church and all kinds of people at Pointman. All we do is we love Jesus. We're pursuing him passionately with
Jesus
a
freaks, bro.
Amen.
barbaric tribe of men around us. And so if you start singing Jesus Freak, you're banned from the podcast for life.
Oh gosh.
So,
We should drive our views up by playing some Taylor Swift stuff.
no. Anyway, I'm Zach. See you later.
I'm gonna look like
Bye.